Singapore, it's got this reputation, right? Like super efficient, squeaky clean, almost like unbelievably corruption-free. So you can imagine my surprise, right, diving into this story. We're talking a scandal that's shaking Singapore to its core. And it has everyone kind of wondering if that, pristine image is maybe just a facade.
Yeah, what's really intriguing here is how this case, it goes beyond just a simple breach of trust. It really strikes at the heart of Singapore's identity as this global financial hub. It's a big deal.
And our source, an article from Ocean Worldwide Phuket Real Estate, lays it all out. Corruption charges against this real estate tycoon.
Yeah.
And get this, he's got ties to a government minister who's already, get this, been jailed.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the players. Who are we even talking about here?
So on one side, you've got Ong Beng Seng, a name that's synonymous with luxury real estate. Oh, and the Singapore Grand Prix.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he holds the rights to that. We're talking billionaire status.
Yeah.
Owner of Hotel Properties Limited.
So not just some average real estate guy. Okay.
Oh, not at all.
And on the other side of this legal battle,
We've got Iswaran,
okay,
formerly a rising star in Singapore's government. He was their transport minister.
gotcha.
And, well, he's already serving a 12-month sentence for corruption.
Okay, so walk me through this. What exactly landed Iswaran in jail, and how does Ong Beng Seng fit into all of this?
So at the core of it, Iswaran was found to have accepted, let's just say, lavish gifts.
Okay.
The Premier League tickets.
Nice.
Trips to Formula One races, even a private jet to Doha. And guess who was, shall we say, showering him with these extravagant presents?
I have a feeling I know the answer, but go ahead. Surprise me.
Ong Beng Seng.
Of course.
Now he's facing accusations of abetting Iswaran's acceptance of these gifts.
Now, that's interesting because I've always heard that, Singapore, they take a hard line against corruption, right?
Right?
Don't they even pay their government officials really well to, prevent this kind of thing?
You're absolutely right. Singapore, they've built their reputation on this, transparency, clean governance.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they pay their ministers handsomely.
Yeah.
Specifically to deter corruption. That's what makes this case so surprising.
Yeah.
It's like finding a crack in a seemingly perfect diamond.
So it's not just the gifts themselves, it's that this entire situation seems to, contradict everything Singapore stands for, right?
Exactly. And it even goes, deeper than that. Ong Beng Seng, he isn't just facing accusations of, generosity gone wrong.
Right.
He's also been charged with obstruction of justice.
Ooh.
Which suggests a deliberate attempt to, cover up the whole affair.
Okay, now this is where things start to get really interesting. What kind of evidence are we talking about here? Did they find a smoking gun, so to speak?
Well, during Iswaran's trial, it came to light that, he had contacted Ong after realizing investigators were closing in.
Uh-oh.
What's particularly damning is that Iswaran asked Ong to cover the expenses for that lavish private jet trip to Doha.
Wow.
The court, they interpreted this as a clear attempt to conceal the money trail and obstruct justice, plain and simple.
Wow. Talk about an uh-oh moment, right?
Right.
Asking your billionaire friend to, bury the evidence after the fact.
Yeah.
That takes some serious guts.
Yeah.
But what I'm really wondering is, how is Singapore reacting to all of this? Are people, freaking out?
I don't know about freaking out.
Okay.
But this case has definitely shaken public confidence. I think it's important to remember that Singapore's reputation, right?
Yeah.
As a place where, business gets done above board.
Right.
That's incredibly important to
But their calling card, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a region where, corruption can be, shall we say, more common.
Precisely. Their entire, economic model is built on being this, stable, trustworthy financial hub.
Right.
So when a scandal like this comes to light, it's not just, embarrassing,
Right.
It has the potential to really damage their bottom line.
I imagine investors might get a little, nervous seeing this kind of thing play out.
Exactly. This case is making global headlines and,
Yeah.
it's raising these concerns about whether Singapore's system is, as impervious to corruption as they've sort of led everyone to believe.
Right.
The financial world is watching very closely to see how this unfolds.
And it's not just about perception either, right? What are the, real-world consequences if investors start, getting cold feet?
Well, for one, Singapore's fintech sector, which relies heavily on foreign investment, right?
Right.
And confidence in a robust regulatory environment,
Right.
that could take a hit. You could
Okay.
see projects stall, capital slight, and just like a general slowdown in this crucial industry.
So a domino effect.
Yeah.
Scandal leads to uncertainty, which leads to, economic repercussions.
Mm.
It's fascinating, really, how this one case has such, like, far-reaching implications.
Yeah, it speaks to the interconnectedness of like reputation, governance, and economic success,
Yeah.
especially in a globalized world. And it raises the question, was this an isolated incident or, is there something more systemic at play here?
Right, is this just the tip of the iceberg?
Exactly.
Are we going to see more shoes drop, so to speak? And what about Ong Beng Seng himself? He hasn't actually been convicted yet, right?
That's correct. He's been officially charged, but has yet to enter a plea.
Okay.
His next court appearance is scheduled for November, and,
Yeah.
that's going to be a pivotal moment for him and for Singapore.
Circle your calendars, folks. November is shaping up to be a nail-biter in the courtroom. But in the meantime, I have to imagine there's a lot of, like, anxiety in Singapore about what this all means for their future.
Absolutely. This case has put their anti-corruption measures, their entire legal system, under a microscope.
Right.
The outcome of Ong's trial will be seen as a referendum on their commitment to upholding the rule of law, no matter how high the stakes.
It's almost like they're walking a tightrope here, right? Trying to like uphold their reputation for being so tough on corruption, but also like facing this possibility that this case might kind of expose these deeper issues.
Yeah, it's a delicate balancing act for sure. And it raises a crucial question. What does this scandal actually say about, the effectiveness of Singapore's anti-corruption measures? Like, they've clearly invested a lot, right, in building a system that's supposed to be airtight.
Right, but at the end of the day, systems rely on people, and people can be, well, unpredictable, to say the least.
Exactly. So we're left grappling with this question. Did Iswaran and Ong, did they exploit loopholes that, need closing?
Yeah.
Or does this point to like a broader cultural issue, something that even like the most stringent rules can't completely eradicate,
And that leads to like a whole other layer of complexity, right? Because if people start to lose faith in the government's ability to regulate itself, where does that leave Singapore?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. This case has revealed a vulnerability, like a chink in the armor of Singapore's, carefully cultivated image. Now it's up to their justice system to demonstrate, and like unequivocally, that no one's above the law, not even, billionaires or high-ranking officials.
They need to prove that the system they've built can actually deliver on its promise of, accountability and transparency.
Precisely. The whole world is watching to see if Singapore can actually live up to its own high standards.
So much is riding on this, not just for Ong Beng Seng, but for Singapore itself. What a story. What do you think? I mean, will this lead to any real change, or will it just be like business as usual once the dust settles?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Will this be a wake-up call? Will it prompt some meaningful reforms, a renewed commitment to ethical conduct? Or will it just kind of fade into the background noise, leaving behind this residue of cynicism? I think only time will tell. But one thing is certain. Singapore will never be quite the same. This case has, at the very least, tarnished that, aura of invulnerability they had.
It makes you think, right? If it can happen in Singapore, where else could it happen? It's a stark reminder that even in these seemingly, perfect systems, human nature always finds a way to disrupt the best laid plans. What a deep dive this has been. Singapore's future, it's hanging in the balance, and we'll be watching closely to see what happens next.